Thank you. Thank you for the questions that had come up earlier, and I really appreciate the Chiefs of Ontario, and I've been here for a few days now, and last week, and in Calgary. I'm all over, but what I really appreciated yesterday was your agenda to go in camera to discuss what's happening, and a couple of times at the AFN. And as you are aware, I have been a representative of the Chiefs of Ontario at the AFN's Charter Renewal Committee. And my main role on your behalf was to maintain the Confederacy Chiefs body, to make sure there was an oversight at the AFN. And we are working on that, and we were working on that at the Charter Committee. I'm not there anymore, but there was also additional mandate provided to the Chiefs Committee on Charter Renewal to look after some of the issues that have come about in the last couple of years, including the expectation for an audit and investigations. And what I'm understanding is there is going to be a report, and I've had a chance to chat with the Charter Committee representatives, some of them, and they've indicated that there will be a report that will be brought to the Chiefs' attention, because there is an outstanding mandate from the Chiefs for certain things to happen as per previous motion. So there will be an update coming from the Charter Renewal in regards to the audit. So that'll happen, I believe, at the December 5th Assembly. That's what I'm hearing, so I'm looking forward to that. But regardlessly, if the Chiefs have asked for something, if there is policies that need to be followed through, I believe that, and I will encourage that we follow those policies until there's new policies to help with how we operate as the Assembly of First Nations. I really believe that Charter Renewal is going to be a big part of how we move forward, because as you know, when we transitioned from the National Indian Brotherhood to the Assembly of First Nations, there were rules on how we would play, how would we work together. That needs to be overhauled. That needs to be updated. It needs to be relevant. It's 2023, 2024. So I'm hoping that we can continue with this whole restructuring and the revamping of the Assembly of First Nations. Chief?
Sorry, I have to introduce.
Okay, sorry.
Microphone 2, Chief Hart.
Dean, see you again, as always. As you are aware, because you were involved in a lot of the assertions and the challenges that we have with Bill C-53, but because a lot of this in Ontario stems from the Powley decision, which is your territory, you know, they're putting a lot of emphasis on the Powley case. And in your opinion, how would you frame our position in regards to the Supreme Court case ruling on Powley, and what are the limitations on that as far as their arguments go?
Miigwech Kima. And Canada has to mind their own business. Stay the hell out of our business. We, as the original people, we still have a full canoe of rights. We gave rights to Canada. Canada doesn't give any rights to us. We control that, and we still control it, and we will control it in the future. There is this assumption of power that Canada is asserting, that they can give rights to different people. They don't have that right. We never gave them that right when we entered into these relationships. We maintained jurisdiction over all of our lands, responsibilities, and obligations, and we didn't give anything to Canada to give to anybody. So Canada doesn't have any business giving any rights to the Métis people. That's still, if the Métis people are interested in having access to hunting some of our lands, they need to come to us. And we will determine, after we do an evaluation, after we look at sustainability, whether or not our Mother Earth, the Earth, can really withstand and can be more palatable and accept more people accessing the lands in a formal way. Everybody that's on our lands should be coming to us for the right to hunt, the right to fish. Those are still in our purview. They're still in our canoe. They shouldn't be going to these illegal assumption of powers of these visiting governments to access those things. Those are still ours. And I was going to go and talk to the committee over here at the foreign government with Canada, but they wouldn't want to hear me. They didn't want to let me speak there. But that will change because we will be united. We will, from coast to coast to coast, once again reassert our unextinguished jurisdictions, and we will do that collectively, organized, informed, and educated. Miigwech Gima.
Microphone 2, Chief McLeod.
We wish for that, Dean. Just zeroing in on the Supreme Court decision, Pally. Do you believe that that was a good decision that was placed on the issue around Pally, or do you think the Supreme Court made a mistake?
I think the Supreme Court made a mistake. I don't think they had the jurisdiction to be making any decisions about rights that are still reserved for us as unextinguished rights holders. That was wrong. And as I look at the mandate of Canada, it's very narrow. They've been making a lot of assumptions, and whenever we get into a courtroom and we challenge them on their assumptions of jurisdiction, what our elders back home told me was that the cloak of immunity is lifted and they have to prove everything that they claim to have jurisdiction over, and they don't have jurisdiction over all the things that they are assuming. And a lot of times you'll find that they'll drop the charges against us when we challenge them, because they don't have any legal right to stand on when they are called on to prove how they can make these types of decisions. I think probably was illegal. There are, can I answer the other questions? So in regards to violence, and thank you for the question, Chief Bell. And I recall historical books where they talk about the wonderful, beautiful, kind red man, and how beautiful we are, and how kind and how sharing we were when people first came here. The effects of colonization have been horrendous on us. We need to find cultural pride, self-esteem. We have to reduce the effects of colonization, and we need to start feeling good about who we are. What we're seeing are so many symptoms, and we need to really stem a lot of that work through a united front at the AFN to rebuild our nations as nations and enter into real relationships with the Crown based on who we are as unextinguished rights holders. So that's important. In regards to youth, I'm so glad that I heard from the youth, and I encourage the youth, and I invited them to be a part of our campaign team, and it's good to see our campaign team here today, some of them. We encourage their input. Actually, at the Association of Iroquois and Allied Indians, where my First Nation is a part of, we actually brought on the youth as voting members at the Chiefs Council. They actually vote. They actually have a standing with us. All across the country, there's variances, but I can see as I look across the country that we are working hard at having our youth being represented through real positions and have real input and be a part of the decision making of our nations. And in regards to voting at the AFN, we are at the charter, we have been challenging and working from that perspective of how can we better meet the voting expectations and representation at the AFN. There are things that were on the drawing board as far as recommendations, even including the representation of Grand Chiefs, because a Grand Chief can't come in here and he or she represents us. We have Grand Chiefs, and they have to get the permission of a chief to come and talk at the microphone. When we honor them and we give them their helpers to work for us, and they have to go through this archaic process. So we're evolving on a number of fronts. We need your input at the charter to help us move forward with how we can be better, reflective, and balanced how we are represented at the AFN.
Miigwech. Miigwech to our candidate, Dean Sayers.
Thank you.